David was a shepherd. He was small, but he was brave. He protected his sheep from lions and bears, he played music, and he was good at it. David spent his days in fields, watching over sheep. He practiced his sling and became very accurate. One day, David's father told him to visit his brothers. They were soldiers fighting the Philistines, so David went to bring them food. David arrived at the battlefield. He was just a young shepherd boy, not a seasoned warrior. The air was thick with tension and fear. He saw the Israelite army, and they were afraid. Their faces were pale and their hands trembled. They had lost hope. They were facing a giant. His name was Goliath. Goliath was huge, towering over everyone else on the battlefield. His presence alone was enough to instill fear. He wore heavy armor and had a big sword. The armor gleamed in the sunlight, and the sword looked like it could cut through anything. Every day, Goliath challenged the Israelites. He would come forward, his voice booming across the valley, daring anyone to fight him. He shouted and taunted them, asking them to send a champion to fight him. His words were filled with scorn and mockery, but no one dared to face him. The soldiers hesitated, their courage faltering in the face of such a formidable opponent. David's brothers were scared, but David was not. He saw the fear in their eyes, but he felt a different kind of fire burning within him. He believed in God and knew God would help him. His faith was unshakable, and it gave him the strength to stand tall. He volunteered to fight Goliath. With a heart full of courage and a spirit unyielding, David stepped forward, ready to face the giant. King Saul heard about David, a young shepherd boy who had come forward to challenge the mighty Goliath. He was skeptical. David was just a boy. How could someone so young and inexperienced stand a chance against a seasoned warrior like Goliath? How could he fight a giant? But David was confident. He had faced danger before, and he believed in his abilities and his faith. He told Saul about fighting lions and bears while protecting his father's sheep. These wild animals were fierce, but David had always managed to overcome them. He said, "The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." His faith was unwavering, and his conviction was clear. Saul was convinced and agreed to let David fight. He saw the determination in David's eyes and the strength in his words. David refused to wear armor. It was too heavy and cumbersome for him. He needed to be agile and quick, relying on his own skills rather than the weight of metal. He took his sling and some stones, the tools he was most familiar with, and he went to face Goliath. With each step, his resolve grew stronger, ready to prove that true courage comes from within. Goliath laughed when he saw David. The sight of a young shepherd boy facing him was amusing. He mocked David, thinking this would be an easy victory. He was just a boy. David ran towards Goliath with determination and courage, his heart filled with faith. The soldiers on both sides watched in disbelief. He reached into his bag, his fingers searching for the smooth stones he had picked from the brook earlier. He took out a stone, feeling its weight and texture. This was no ordinary stone, it was his weapon of choice. He put it in his sling, a simple yet effective tool he had mastered while protecting his flock from predators. He swung it around and around, gaining momentum with each rotation. He let go at the perfect moment, releasing the stone with precision. The stone flew through the air, cutting through the tension of the battlefield. It was a moment of silence before the impact. It hit Goliath in the forehead with a force that no one expected. The giant's mocking laughter turned into a look of shock. Goliath fell to the ground, lifeless. He was dead. The Philistines were shocked. They ran away in fear and confusion. The Israelites had won. David's faith and bravery had triumphed against all odds. David had faced a giant. He had won. He showed courage. He used his skill. He trusted in God. David's victory is an inspiration. It tells us that even small people can do great things. It reminds us to be brave. It teaches us to trust in God. David's story is a reminder that anything is possible if we have faith and courage.